Now, a few videos ago, I spoke about the propaganda that I am absolutely not falling for, and one of those things was the influx of limited edition books. And it really leads me to ask, you know, limited edition, sprayed edges, are they really just marketing gimmicks? Short answer, yes, okay? Longer answer, let's have a conversation, okay? Because you'll have two books. One will be $8.99. The other is 36 pounds, comes in a velvet box, and has sprayed edges that look like dragon scales. And guess which one the algorithm is going to encourage me to buy? Yeah, I think you know exactly which one that is. Because nothing says limited edition like 6 different versions of the same book, releasing in the same week, one after the other, day after day. Guys, no, we need to get into this conversation because it's absolutely ridiculous right now. And I don't know if I could take it anymore. I'm getting frustrated because no, 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 no. And today we're really going to get into it. Are collector's editions cute, predatory, or just both, to be honest? Because the way publishing is pumping out foil stamp, cloth bound, alternative cover, scented, reverse dust jacketed chaos lately, I have questions and maybe a little buyer's remorse, maybe. And we're going to unpack it all today. You know, what's really behind collector's editions, who they're targeting, and whether we're being played. And honestly, I think we are just a bit. Just a bit. First and foremost, we're going to define our terms. Very, very important. Traditionally, a collector's edition was a limited print run. It was high production value. It was designed to preserve or celebrate a significant work. I remember the example I gave before was, for example, if Lord of the Rings was having a 25th anniversary edition, something like that would be a collector's edition, you know? And the collector's editions were often made for classics or award-winning titles, you know? Sometimes they'd be signed, numbered, you know, all that cute stuff. But in 2025, a collector's edition can mean new cover art every 6 months, you know, repackaging the same book with 5 extra pages of content. You know, it can mean different editions for Barnes& Nobles, Waterstones, Illumicrate, Fairy Loot, Amazon, every single thing that you can think of, you know, just multiple exclusive editions that somehow all exist at the same time. It honestly, nothing screams collectible like a 5th edition of a book that released literally 8 months ago. Yeah, very exclusive. Oh, guys, this is just so ridiculous. Let's not play around. Collector's editions are basically now a revenue strategy, a hype machine, a marketing gimmick. It doesn't hold the same weight that it did years ago. And the reason being is print sales are still declining, unfortunately. And special editions, they drive FOMO. They drive that fear of missing out in people and that urgency in people. So people want to buy a book. And honestly, repackaging is cheaper than funding new authors. So if you have a popular author that you know has a great fan base, you're going to take advantage of that rather than investing in new authors who you'll have to spend marketing on and, you know, edit and develop and just so much, which is why we consistently keep getting Sarah J Maas reprints, like 100%. I don't know how many editions of ACOTAR they have out in these streets, but it's quite a lot. It's absolutely ridiculous. I am always so baffled with how many editions I see people have. It's actually impressive in a light because you're just like, it's actually impressive that you guys really were able to milk this cow for so long. I'm kind of impressed. I am. But it actually is bad as well because you're not investing in new authors. But I understand publishing is a business. And instead of investing in editorial risk, you know, publishers, you know, they choose to cater to the popular fandoms, you know, to chase aesthetics, to monetize scarcity. And economically and business wise, it is a very smart move, and it will definitely work all the time, especially with romantasy fans, YA fandoms, like adult fantasy collectors, because I don't know why I feel like, especially millennials, we there's just something about us that flocks to nostalgia. I don't know, maybe because this generation is so chaotic that we are just so desperately chasing after our childhood. And maybe it's not just millennials. I feel like, yeah, actually, maybe all generations previously will consistently chase after their childhoods because that was the best time in their lives. Because the world just keeps getting worse and worse. Just, oh, it's so sad. But they don't just target those people. There's also the people who say, I already own this book, but not this cover, you know? And this is where I was just like, I feel a bit of, consumer guilt because I have done that with my favorite books where I'm just like, I love this book so much and I would love to have it in all the covers. It's weird that there's just this weird feeling of just having it in every single edition is just so weird because it isn't even about the book anymore. It's about like status, aesthetic, and not just that. There's this like sense of completionism when you have everything that exists in that one favorite book of yours. And the psychology of it is really, really insane because let's think about collector's editions. They tap into exclusivity. When you tell people there are only 1,000 copies and people race, to be in a line to make sure that they get one of the only 1,000 copies. Not just that, like I said, there's that nostalgia, returning to your favorite world, reliving the emotions that you felt. Not just that, there's the status signaling where you can be like, look at my shelf. And I know a lot of people are still in that sense where they're just like, they can be like, oh my goodness, look at this great shelfie with all of my, editions of this book. Some people definitely, get, and, they get hype from that feeling. And not just that, there's like the sunk cost fallacy as well, where, you say, I already bought 3 versions, might as well get the 4th because I'm already too deep into this. And people continue to just fall into that trap. It becomes less about, do I want this book, and more about, will I regret not having it when everyone else posts theirs. And it becomes literally a case of, if I don't get the sprayed edges with, the bonus art, how will people know that I love morally gray men in fantasy settings, I'm so sorry. I really feel like I'd be throwing shade at so many people. But if you guys know, it's all in love, and I love you guys. But let's break it down even further. When we think about collector's editions, we have to think about who is actually winning, because you have the publishers, because they're making more profit from repackaged content. Like I said, they don't have to invest, that extra cost into finding new authors. Not just that, bookbox companies, oh, they're really benefiting. And I say this as someone who had a small stint of a bookbox company. I know the deal. I 100% know the deal because most book boxes, they run monthly. And so you get monthly exclusives, which gives you guaranteed hype. And the big authors that continue to be repurposed by their publishers for these collector's editions, more editions mean more shelf real estate, which means more visibility, more growth, better prospects for a new book. If you ever write a new book, it just makes your career, more lucrative, to be honest. Not just that, TikTok resellers. Oh, yeah, people don't know about it, but this is becoming, this is the growing market. People are flipping editions like sneakers. We thought the sneaker game was tough. Oh, TikTok resellers are in for the long haul. They're in for their money. And the thing is, yes, we have winners, but we also have losers. Midlist authors are usually overshadowed by viral collectors editions when they drop, so if you're releasing a book at that point, or if you're, this is your window to really sell, when that edition drops, you basically fly out of visibility for most people. Not just that, readers with limited income, they're literally priced out of fandom culture. For example, I told you guys, I have gotten copies of my favorite books, but there are some times where I'm just like, I cannot afford to get this and I'm not gonna get it. And then you're just like, I love you guys so much, but I can't be a part of this. I can't. And I know that some people will definitely be hurting because of that. I'm just like, I'm over it. But I know it will definitely hurt because fandom culture is real. And being shut out of it, I can't imagine. Especially if you're consistently shut out because of income. It's not going to be cute. Not just that, the environment is suffering. We have to be honest. And let's not ignore, like, the waste from overproduction. And let's be real, if a book has 5 collector's editions before it's even released, is it about the story or about the money? Let's be honest. But, with everything, there is nuance. So let's get into that as well. Collector's editions, they're not evil, okay? They can be beautiful, not can be, they usually are very, very beautiful and thoughtful. And they do support the authors, yes. And not just that, they're a form of art and expression. So there is good to collector's editions, but it is very important to ask, am I buying this for the love of the story or because I'm being marketed to? So when it comes to collector's editions, I think we have to consider a lot of things before buying. Will you reread this? And I think this is something that you should think with just books. Like, because at the end of the day, if not, I'm going to donate this. So with collector's editions, are you going to reread it? Does that version mean something to you? So for the books that I actually made a point to like get collector's editions, like it wasn't a book box, I actually saw it and I got a collector's edition. It was because it was my favorite author, favorite book. For example, the Legendborn collector's edition. I already had the regular books, but when that got released, I was just like, I love Legendborn. So yes, I got it. It's something that I reread, that I love. I love the story. And so yeah, I got it. So really, I think people should really think, is this something that, you really, really cherish? And I think one of the main things that we definitely should be thinking about with these editions is, can you afford it? Financially and emotionally, genuinely. Do not go bankrupt trying to stay on trend or trying to remain with fandom culture. Please do not go broke trying to keep up with these trends. It's not worth it at all, okay? Let's take the pressure off ourselves. You're not less of a fan if you don't have every edition of a book. You're not. Your bookshelf doesn't have to be a status symbol or a symbol of your love for an author or a book. It doesn't at all. So to answer the question of, are collector's edition a marketing gimmick? I mean, yes, yeah, 100%, 100%, very much so. But are they also beautiful, sometimes very meaningful and fun? Also, yes. But don't let the gimmick trick you into thinking you need them to be a real reader, whatever that means, okay? A good book is a good book, sprayed edges or not, okay? So while I have this shelf of, great books that are absolutely gorgeous, I have this shelf with books that broke me, that made me laugh, that will remain in my heart forever. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. So, once again, do not stress yourself out trying to get every single edition of a book. It's not worth it. But let me know. Let me know what you think of collector's editions. Do you have any? Do you have a lot? Are you a collector? Yeah, just let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.